What's going on, Knuckleheads? GKM Gaming here with another LEGO Legacy Heroes Unboxed video for you. And today, I am bringing you everything you need to know about a certain Batlord. That's right, we're going to go over Basil the Batlord. His event is running right now. Get him while he's hot, right? You have a chance to get Basil. My goal is to at least get him to 5 or 6 star tiles by the end of this brick pace. I was able to actually unlock him and get him enough tiles for 4 star last time the brick pace came around, when it came around for the first time, really. I haven't really used him too much. Definitely see a lot of people using him. He's kind of like, he's good, but he's not great without Willa. You put him on a squad with Willa, now we're talking. Willa sadly is not available in this brick pace event shop. And that's all I have to say about that, Gameloft. But they did say with the Master Shop update coming out to this brick pace, you're going to have a little more access to her, and she's going to be a little easier to farm. So you might start seeing people using Basil and Willa together, and that spooky team, especially with Ghost coming out. And now I believe Yorick, Spooky Girl, and Zombie being able to be farmed in this brick pace event. You might see a lot more spooky coming around this Halloween. So that's really a good thing. But let's talk about Basil and really what makes him so good. So let's talk about his basic first, right? So Basil is a tank. He's got the spooky tag. He's got the castle tag. He really is going to be used on that spooky team more than a castle team. But honestly, you could use him on a castle team. It's just, they have so many tanks. It's like, if you're running straight castle or the King's Court trio, it's obviously going to be better with Magisto. But he's going to be better with Willa than Barnabas or Jester, for instance. So his basic deals 100% damage to a target foe and heals 40% of the damage dealt. So that's pretty good. A little self-heal. 70% chance to clear all buffs from the foe and copy it to Basil. So that's pretty good. Kind of similar to Magisto's basic, except better because it clears all of the buffs from them, and it can copy one of them. So if you do end up clearing Taunt and copy it to yourself, it's not really a bad thing with Basil, which we're going to see as we kind of go into that. If you clear a debuff from Basil, you copy it to a foe. So that, you know, you have a chance to kind of spread debuffs around. Spooky is kind of really all about spreading debuffs. Different, not as much as Buccaneers, but they're like almost like a Buccaneer Ninjago hybrid thing, because they are, especially with Ghost coming out, they're very much about stealth and they're very much about debuffs. And a lot of them they're about dying, especially with Basil, as you'll see, and Zombie. His first special, which is his heal. So he's a healer too, and he's a big time healer. All castle tank heroes gain 2 stacks of heal over time for 2 turns. So when he does this, he's going to at least gain 2 stacks of heal over time himself. All spooky heroes gain max health 1 up for 2 turns. So whenever he does this, he's going to get heal over time and max health 1. He uses 25% of his health, minus 5% for each spooky hero. So essentially on an all spooky team, it's going to be only 5% of his health that he's giving up to do this. And he's going to heal all other heroes 30% of his max health. And he has a fairly decent health pool from what I know about Basil. So you're getting a relatively decent heal. It's not his only way of healing. He has a self-heal on his basic too. And on a spooky team, he's only really giving up 5% of his health. And then he's gaining heal over time and max health up. And everybody else on that spooky team is also going to get, for 2 turns, 20% more health. So that is a really good heal that we got going on for Spooky. Again, Spooky you cannot do without Basil and Willa. Then we have his Taunt, right? The maximum bat overlord. And I love the way they did his Taunt. 60% damage AoE, so to all foes. And for each foe, there has a 50% chance to heal Basil for 20% of the damage dealt to them. So it's kind of like, almost like Garmadon's AoE, but on a much smaller scale. It's another way that he can hit people and heal himself. If the foe is inflicted with fear, which is very common on spooky teams, the chance is 100% instead. So anybody inflicted with fear, when he does this taunt, he's going to heal for 20% of the damage dealt. And this could, this has a chance to heal him up a considerable amount. Oh, and then on top of that, he gains taunt for 2 turns. So that's pretty cool because spooky needs taunt, right? So I kind of like now what they're doing with Ghost with it, and you have to be very strategic though, because Ghost has when somebody drops below 50%, he's going to drop them under stealth. And you have to be now you have to kind of pick and choose when you're going to taunt with Basil. Maybe you don't taunt with Basil right out the gate. Maybe you let them get Willa down to 50%, drop everyone under stealth, and then taunt with Basil when Ghost starts to get low. So you can do, it's really nice to have a taunter and a AoE stealth kind of thing going on. So I do actually really like that. I don't think the AI is going to use it that well, but I do think players are going to use it very strategically, and I think even the AI will still be good on that all spooky team. It's already very difficult to deal with. And then we have his passive. This is pretty much one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So whenever Basil is inflicted with a debuff, he gains 5% defense up to a maximum of 30%. So whenever he gets debuffs, he's going to gain defense, which is great. I love that because debuffs are so common in this game. And whenever Basil is defeated, heal all heroes for 30% of his max health, right? So it's another AoE heal that he's giving whenever he is defeated. And this is super cool. Before I go into his ultimate, this is super cool because there is another character here known as Willa the Witch, right? And her passive works with Basil. So, at the start of Willa's turn, if Basil the Batlord has been defeated, reassemble and heal him for 25% of Willa's max health. Whenever Willa reassembles Basil, all other heroes gain payback for 2 turns. That is filthy. That is a filthy, filthy, broken combo, right? Especially when you throw it. I've seen teams where they're using Yuppie and Aurora with the Ice Glider and Basil and Willa. Very, very difficult to deal with teams. But the cool thing is he keeps dying and coming back and dying and healing and healing and healing everyone else. That's a lot of healing. That's like Jester Go-Go levels of healing. So he kind of he fills the Burnibus and the Go-Go role all at once. I don't think that he's going to work as well with an all-castle team, but I think on a spooky team, especially if you're mixing that spooky castle team or a magical team, which I did a video a while back on the magical team, which is getting even better now because they're fixing the bugs in Magisto's Tower. That magical team, he's really, really awesome. And one thing a lot of people think is it's actually better to run him at 5 stars than 6 or 7 stars because it makes him just squishy enough that he'll keep dying and coming back and dying and coming back. And really, with Basil, you want him to die and come back as many times as possible because that's going to offer more and more healing for the squad, right? And he also has a super duper cool ultimate. I love ultimates on figures. I believe Spooky now has, I want to say 3 ultimates because Slimer does not have one. So it's got 3 ultimates. It's got Basil's ultimate, it's got Willa's ultimate, and now it has Ghost ultimate. So let's check out the ultimate. Increase all debuff durations on all foes by 2. Again, Spooky is all about spreading out those debuffs and keeping them out there for a while, especially with Willa's basic where she could just any random debuff 2 of them on you for hitting you. Foes inflicted with fear have their debuff duration increased by 3. So that's really good. And this does not affect stun though. So it would have been pretty broken if you stun someone and then you can stun them for 2 more turns. That just wouldn't be fair. But it also has a little bit of Primo-esque in it. It clears taunt and stealth from all foes and copies them to random foes for the lowest turn duration. So it's it could clear Stealth from a Master Wu, could clear Taunt from a Scarlet, and maybe copy that Taunt onto Redbeard. It's, you know, it's not as good in terms of Stealth and Taunt clearing as Primo's ultimate, but it's just better than Primo's ultimate in general. And then more healing. Heals all heroes for 40% of Basil's max health, plus 5% bonus heal to each spooky hero for each debuff on the foe's team, maximum of 7 debuffs. So that's a potential 85% of his max health, and he's a tank with a fair amount of health, 85% heal. Now, this is where the argument comes in that, okay, well, he's probably better at 7-star because he's got more health. Again, it really depends on how you want to use him. And the problem is, if you try him out at 5-star and you don't think it's working, you can always up him to 6 or 7 stars. Once he's 6 or 7 stars, you can't go back. I'm only going to probably farm him up to 5 stars. But I haven't decided what I'm going to use my event currency for yet. Probably going to end up using it on him because that's just what I like to do. But peeping over at the event shop, I wouldn't mind getting some more Yorick tiles. I actually kind of like Yorick, and I like his tags. So I wouldn't mind getting 5 or 6-star Yorick, but I'm going to need a lot more event currency for that. My Go-Go is already pretty much maxed out. I ain't farming Zombie, that ain't it, and Spooky Girl. I don't see myself doing a Spooky team unless they make Willa way, way easier to get, and then maybe I'll start the grind up for Willa. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you today, Knuckleheads. Please remember to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that little bell for some notifications, and as always, remember to knuckle.
She blocked me on Instagram, Snapchat, I don't give a damn about that. I can see your face, still feel the same. I don't feel the need to forget your name.